Syria, a country torn apart by war over the last decade. Right now, governments around the world advise against all travel and recommend to get out of the country as soon as you can. But I have the chance to go in and show another side to this country. A side that you might not expect. Good morning, guys, and welcome to Damascus, Syria. It's the first day here, and we're about to be exploring here for the next few days and see what you can do in Syria, what you can do in Damascus, what the people are like, and generally what it's like to visit here in 2019.
Anyway, I guided before the Christ, 25 years before the Christ, so I guided a lot of big groups, but now, and fortunately I say, this is the biggest group for me now.
So that's our guide. And he just said that this is the biggest group he's had since the crisis. He was a guide for 25 years before 2011. So since Syria's been in a war, we're the biggest group he's had. And it was organised by one of my mates, Johnny. He's got a blog, One Step Forward, and he basically took everyone here with their help. And it's the biggest tour group he's seen, which is kind of really interesting, I think. Kind of shows where Damascus is at, because I think people are starting to come back, but only just. He said at the end of last year, at the end of 2018, was when he first started seeing some tourists coming back, and now some more are coming. These are bullet holes right here, and so this is one of the oldest churches in the world. I just got told it dates back to 60 AD, so it's almost 2,000 years old. And now Syria is majority Muslim. It's, I think, 76% Muslim, about 15% Christian. Yet there are lots of churches, because it was also a route for the Crusades, however many years ago. But yeah, very interesting. This is 2,000 years old. It's actually built down into the ground as well. Wow, so these are, what you probably saw from the thumbnail, these are Damascus swords that are made here. And just popped in to check them out. This guy, he's very welcoming. This one's 100 years old.
Yeah.
This, wow, okay.
You can see the waves. You want to?
Wow. It's really light.
Yeah, 5.
What? No. Oh, 500.
So come, thank you.
I like it.
I get 20% off.
But just tell me how you go with your girlfriend.
This was just the first example of what we kept seeing throughout the trip. Syrian people were just so friendly and welcoming and happy to see tourists and foreigners again in their country. I honestly think that the Syrian people might be some of the friendliest I've ever met.
You see, if the lady is walking in the street before the Christ, I mean, at 2 o'clock by herself, maybe having gold or whatever, nobody will do to her anything. For there, it's one of the most safe countries, anyway, one of 5th safe countries in the world. So, but don't carry gold and walk, especially the ladies. They will take you with the gold. I'm joking, anyway, it's safe, don't worry.
The interesting thing is that being here now feels completely safe. Like Damascus, even during the height of the war, I'm told, wasn't really affected that much. Okay, I need to pause this right here because what I just said there isn't true. While the centre of Damascus and the old city wasn't hugely affected by fighting, some of the suburbs were completely destroyed, which we found out for ourselves when driving through a couple days later. If you want to find out what really happened to this city, then look up the Battle of Damascus. So walking along this now, and bearing in mind that there was a lot of tourism here in 2010 and before that, it still feels like a tourist street. We're in the oldest coffee shop right now in Damascus, and there's also, it's famous because there's a storyteller that comes here every night at sunset and tells a story in Arabic. We're here just slightly before that, but I'm getting a pomegranate juice and a coffee, and we're just sat in here, and yeah, very cool, very, very cool.
This is to welcome offer.
Ah, thank you. This area I'm in right now, of the old city, it actually feels like a really bustling tourist street. Like I was in Istanbul recently, and this could easily be outside the Grand Market. Like all of these little shops along the side. Yeah, it's not. I didn't know what to expect from Damascus really, but this wasn't really it. Like it feels like any other nice touristy city. It all just felt a little bit surreal. Walking along these streets with smiling faces and people selling things, it just didn't really fit with what I've seen about Syria over the last 10 years. But honestly, I can say this would be a great place to visit. It's just had some very unfortunate recent circumstances. Check this out, this is some old ruins and they put a market inside of it. And we just stopped here because that's a giant Syrian flag above it and it gives it such an awesome contrast. So we just stopped for a photo of that. Look at that, that's a sight in itself. So this is the tomb of Salah al-Din. He was a conqueror in this area and he pretty much established Syria and Egypt.
So Saladin controlled Syria and Egypt, and he established a big kingdom at that time with his dynasty. Lasted until about 1260, before 1260 AD. Then Saladin actually was a very good leader, even from the point of view of his enemies, because he was dealing in a very good way, as I told you, with his enemies. So as a kind of appreciation, until now we have many books talking about Saladin and his works during the Crusade period.
I've just been told this is the fourth most important and fourth most holy mosque in the world. And it's been here for over a couple thousand years, I think I was told. And it's been burnt down, destroyed, but always been rebuilt. And although some of it is dating back for however many years, other parts have been rebuilt and it's still here, which is kind of incredible, and it is amazing to see and amazing to be able to get out here because not everyone is allowed onto this bit, but we have been to be able to take some photos and videos and sort of show it off. But yeah, another very interesting thing to see in Damascus, another interesting thing that can drive tourism in the future in Syria. That's very interesting. So just behind me is the shrine or the tomb to John the Baptist, who has history in both Christianity and Islam. He was a prophet in Islam and a saint in Christianity. But apparently that's where St. John the Baptist's head is. Not the whole body, but they have the head, and then this is his tomb. Where to begin? What a day. What a bizarre day. The last video before this one, where we left Lebanon, that was 4 AM this morning. And it's been, going through riots and protests this morning to then getting here, in Damascus, in Syria, which is mostly known as a war-torn country for the last 10 years. What a bizarre day, but also a very interesting day of travel. I'm not gonna, pardon me, I'm not gonna say too much in this first impressions, because I kind of want you to make up your own mind from what I show of Damascus. But I do want to say that Damascus, it feels like a city that used to have a lot of tourism. It feels like a city that people here used to depend on tourism. People seem so happy to have tourists back here. Like, everyone's been very welcoming and gone out of their way when we're walking around to be welcome to Syria, welcome here, oh my god, thank you for coming here. And genuinely, that's not over exaggerating, we've had that quite a bit. So it feels like a city that has been unfortunately affected, and these are local people, not any politicians or not any like political reasons behind this, but I just feel that these are local people that have been badly affected by the war, both in their incomes and in their families, I'm sure. And so they're just quite happy to see foreign people starting to come back, because then that's a sign of things changing here. And it does feel like that. It feels like a city that's ready for things to change and things to start improving again. So yeah, that's my impressions of it just from the first day. It does seem like there's a lot of things to see here, and that we're still going to continue seeing things tomorrow and the next few days as well. I'm going to leave it there. Check back for the next video to see more of Damascus, and yeah, hope you enjoyed watching this, because I really enjoyed exploring Damascus today. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.